So, how did I make $944 trading Meta call options? So, looking at Meta at 12:06, I bought a call options of Meta. So, looking at Meta at 12:06, right? On the 30-minute time chart. Let's see. Not this candle, but this candle right here. So what I did, I played Meta call options as soon as it approached or landed on the 9-day moving average, waited for a bounce, and that actually happened. And so at 12:50, I sold out the position, securing a gain of $944 trading Meta call options. So it's pretty easy. This is what the goal is basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to use the moving averages as your entry points. This is your call of whether to play calls or puts. And typically, here's a hint, what you want to pay attention to is to the 9 and 20-day moving average. I would say those are the two most important moving averages to pay attention when it comes to day trading, specifically on the 30-minute time chart. So what you want to do is you want the 9-day moving average to be above the 20-day moving average, just like how you see here on the chart. Typically when the chart looks like this usually indicates that this particular stock will be in a bullish trend for pretty much the whole day. Now if it decides to pull back like how I played Meta call options today, usually you kind of want to, it's a, like any other strategy out there, it's a 50-50, honestly. So being me, I played Meta call options as soon as it landed on the 9-day moving average, and I was confident that it would bounce off the 9-day moving average due to the fact that, okay, well, pretty much the 9-day moving average is above the 20-day moving average, and usually when these two moving averages look like this on the chart, this typically indicates that this will be pretty much bullish for the overall whole day. And so I was like, okay, well, let me just play Meta call options here as soon as it lands on the 9-day moving average, wait for a bounce. Bounce occurred, and then I sold out the position as soon as it approached my 10% threshold. But once it surpassed the 10% threshold, I was like, well, I think this could be a possibility that Meta could possibly approach my 15% threshold now that I'm feeling confident by looking at the chart. And so I was like, okay, I'll just hold on to a little bit. I won't be too greedy. I'll just take the I'll take the win once it's close to $1,000. And it was up $944, so I was like, that's good enough for me. The position is up way past my 10% threshold, and so I'll just secure the bag and move on to the next trade. So pretty much when it comes to trading, I would honestly say it all relies on your I would say it all relies on your self-discipline. So honestly, if you're in a trade and it's not going exactly how it's how you planned that trade to be, honestly, just for me personally, when I see that my trade is down 10% or 15%, I'll just take that loss, move on to the next trade. And typically I'll take that loss because usually what will happen is that all of a sudden these two moving averages right here, like the 9 and 20, specifically when I'm looking at those two moving averages and I see that the 9-day moving average just crossed below the 20-day moving average, to me that automatically indicates that, well, this could be a shift this could be a shift away from the bullish trend that we were going into. Now it's looking like the 9-day moving average is going below the 20-day moving average. So that's a change in the trend, and that's basically indicating that we could see a bearish trend if the 9-day moving average is moving below the 20-day moving average. And so that's another thing I take into account when I'm day trading, if I see that the position is not looking so good, and I start seeing that the 9-day moving average is all of a sudden going below the 20-day moving average, I'll typically cut my losses around anywhere from being down 10 or 15% max down. So try to, have your game plan set in mind. Try to have your percentage targets that you're trying to aim for. So for me, typically I'll try to aim for, if I'm feeling really confident in a trade like I was today, I'll try to aim for a 15 or sometimes 20% gainers. Now, if I'm not feeling really confident, I'll just try to stick to aiming for a 5 or 10% gainer for the day. So that's pretty much to it, really, when it comes to like day trading. So typically just, use the moving averages as your entry points. Have your plan set in mind, whether to play calls or puts, and specifically use the 30-minute time chart. You can add these moving averages, which are the 9, 20, 50, 180, and 200-day moving average. And so let's see if we can make an example here on the Finviz website. So let's be random. Let's see. Let's do UNH, right? Let's do UNH. UNH. And here on the 30-minute time chart. So here, this is where it's a little tricky, right? You can see that the 9-day moving average is below the 20-day moving average, right? So this is what I would have done if I would have traded UNH. So I see that the 9-day moving average is below the 20-day moving average. So I would patiently wait for UNH to approach the 20-day moving average. Once a rejection happens at the 20-day moving average, I would sell out the position once it goes back to this 50-day moving average. So as soon as I see that, okay, here on the 12 candle, right, I see UNH is approaching the 20-day moving average, I'm going to play puts because the 9-day moving average is currently below the 20-day moving average. Now my selling point would be on the next candle when UNH approaches the 50-day moving average. That would be my exit point to sell out the position. Most people struggle to figure out when to sell out of their positions, and it's really not that hard. It's honestly just about observing the chart, observing the moving averages, and just being realistic with your percentage targets that you're trying to aim for that day. And that's how I would trade UNH. So specifically day trading UNH. So that is pretty much it. This is not financial advice. Like I said, you can use finviz.com. You can either use it a day trade using the 30-minute time chart, or you can use finviz.com to whether to play calls or put leap options. So that is pretty much it. This is not financial advice. As always, take care and bye.